Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, respectively, everyone. Uh, of your locations, as we have people joining all across the world. And welcome to another session in the Data Hour series. We are thrilled to be here with you this evening for a session full of action packed learning. And I, Rakshana Garia, part of the data science team at Analytics Vidya, I will be the moderator for this session. And for those who have joined us for the first time, a brief introduction about the Data Hour sessions. The Data Hour is a series of sessions conducted by Analytics Vidya, led by top industry experts. And it is a fun way to understand the concepts of data science from the leading players in the data tech domain. We are hopeful that these sessions are going to be a great source of enrichment and value adding for our community members. So now on to our session today, which is the Data Hour, Data Science and FAANG Company. You probably would have heard about FAANG. FAANG is an acronym for Facebook, which is now Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google, which is now Alphabet. So these are the companies that have changed the definition of interacting, socializing, shopping, and entertainment, and are some of the best performing companies across the globe. And FAANG stocks are very popular and they find a place in many portfolios of investors. And most importantly, owing to the leaders that represent these companies. One of the companies that created a huge impact in the world of technology and the way of human interactions is Facebook, which now owns Instagram as well. So remember how we all went enraptured by its launch. So in this data hour, Ishan will demonstrate how data science is used on Facebook and what is required to become a data scientist at Facebook. Now, on to our speaker in this session of Data Hour. We have Ishan Tiwari from Singapore with us. Ishan Tiwari is data science lead at Facebook with 9 years of experience in analytics. He is an experienced analyst with a demonstrated history of working in the consulting and internet industry, and an expert in experimentation and applied ML. He is skilled in management, MATLAB, SQL, Microsoft Excel, Tableau, and Python. Previously, he has worked with companies like Upgrad, ZS Associates, and SGS. So over to you, Ishan. The stage is all yours.
Hey everyone, thanks a lot for the introduction. So guys, before I start the session, there's few things. So there are few confidential information about the company which I cannot share. So let's try to keep our questions limited to the section which is generic and information is available in open forums or other discussion panels. So I'll try to keep it generic, but happy to go deep or deep dive further into specific questions people have. So I'm going to share my screen and start with the presentation. Can you confirm if you can see my screen?
It's visible.
Okay, cool. So first of all, thanks a lot for inviting me in this data, and I'm looking forward to interacting with the analytics community and share my knowledge. So let me quickly walk you all through the agenda. So I'll start with a quick introduction of mine. Then we'll talk about the various kinds of data rules in FAANG. Then I'll deep dive into the data science role, which is everyone is curious about. Then I'll give you a high-level examples of what are the data science projects we have, and then talk a little bit about how to get into a DS role in a FAANG company. What can you expect in interviews? So I think the person has already introduced me, but I'll give a high-level overview again. I am Ishan Tiwari, based out of Singapore, currently working with Facebook. I have around 9 years of experience in the field of analytics, work with consulting and internet technology companies. Currently, I'm managing a team of 6 data scientists, supporting engineering and product managers. In terms of my expertise, I am a seasoned data scientist with expertise in hypothesis testing, inferential analytics, applied ML, and experimentation. So let's start with data rules in FAANG. I think this is a confusion across all the new person trying to get into the market. Everyone wants to get into a data science role. But I wanted to tell you that there are way too many data rules. And a fun fact, you know what, out of all the data rules available, we hire around 10% of the roles as data scientists. Everything else is sitting into a different data group. So Facebook is a company of around 70,000-80,000 people. We have less than 1,000 data scientists in our company, whereas we have around 15,000 data people in the company. So you guys can see that data scientists is not the majority. Same goes with, if I think about like other companies like Google. In Google, data scientists are like close to 1,000, whereas that company is around 160,000 people. So there is way more data roles beyond just data science title. And data science title are also very specific to few specific or so generally, all the data roles in FAANG companies are categorized into two categories: tech data roles and non-tech. Now, frankly speaking, tech and non-tech is just bullshit. To be honest, there's not much difference in terms of skill set. But what happens whenever you become part of a product org? When I say product org, the people who develop product. Now that product org comprises of product managers, technical program managers, software engineers, and then there are data scientists and data engineers, which enable data logging or analysis around the product. So that entire organization is called tech orgs because most of the time leaders are engineers or product managers or tech people. Whereas if we think about, there are so many other roles. There is sales, there is business, there is partnership, there is operations, there is legal, there is HR or people operations ops. There are way too many teams. They also require a lot of data skills. But eventually, the org leader is not like an engineer or product manager. So that org is called non-tech org, and then roles sitting in those org are called non-tech data. So I started my journey as in a non-tech data role. I joined Facebook Hyderabad and I was part of operations org. So now let's start with what are the various kind of non-tech roles. So there are a bunch of roles with title operation data analyst, business analyst. They are all a proper data role. Then we need to develop a lot of dashboards. We have to do a lot of reporting and we have to maintain our metric. For example, if we want to understand how many bad content have been taken down from our platform, or what has been the revenue for last quarter, or how many new video creators have been onboarded on our platform. All of these work is done by people sitting in non-tech data roles. The third title which we see in non-tech roles are business data scientists. So these are either sales data scientists, marketing data scientists, partnership data scientists. I'll explain it later in the side. And then one more title is data developer. So these data developers are very similar to data engineers. The data engineer title we use in the tech ops, so in non-tech org we call it data developer. Now moving on to tech or data roles. So first is data scientist analytics. So these are the people who develop, what are the right set of metrics to measure some product feature, or whether we should launch a feature, what has been the impact of launch of a feature, something like this. Then there's data scientist and ML. So these are the people when we change some recommendation in things in our backend algorithm. Let's say if I take example of Facebook, what kind of post you guys would be seeing, what kind of friend recommendations you would be getting, when should an ad come to you. The people who deal with those kind of algorithm things, they are called data scientists. I mean, then machine learning engineers are the people who develop, let's say, recommendation system, or who develop classification system, or bunch of other things which are like incorporated into anything which is, let's say, related to deep learning or neural network. These kind of things, these are taken care by machine learning engineers. And then fourth is data engineer. So these are the people whose skill set is very similar to a software engineer, but they are just focusing in the world of data. So if we look about Facebook, there are billions of people using it. Everything people do, liking things, commenting, messaging each other, reading a post, we log all these things. And how to efficiently log such data in a such large scale, and at the same time provide data to various organizations when they need to do analysis, how to provide right kind of access all of this is taken care by data engineers. So now we have understood the various kind of roles in the in the data role. Now let's talk about the specific data science role. So again, I'll break down the role into tech and non-tech community. In tech data science, we have three kind of designation. First is product data scientist or product analyst. So this is the title I am having or my team is having. We work with very closely with data scientists, and I'll explain in a bit we work very closely with product and engineering team, and I'll explain in a bit that what does a product data scientist role mean, what kind of project we do. But it's mostly around understanding how my product is performing, what are the features working, what are the features not working, those things. Then data scientists, ML, these are the people who work on rather long-term project or basically have used a lot of ML, mostly work on developing new algorithms or basically using the existing complicated algorithm to come up with a solution and then work with machine learning engineers to operationalize the model. Then the third category is core data scientist or research data scientist. These are the people who are generally postdoc or at least have done PhD, and they are like an expert in their field. And their their projects are not about how Facebook is doing today or how Google is doing today or how Amazon is doing today. It's more like what we should do 3 years from now, 5 years from now, where people should make investment. Whether our platform is, let's say, supporting any particular kind of product idea, any kind of a political ideology. So these people generally work on very proof of concept idea, the things which we have not even thought about. So in Facebook, we have like an org where their role is just to build new products and fail fast. So they take an idea, quickly build product around that, and then see if it is working or not. So few of the things like this core data science people work, like whether Facebook should go into Facebook marketplace kind of model. So if you guys have seen, Facebook is a marketplace where you can buy and sell things. Or when we suggest that, okay, rather than going from likes or comments or number of users, we should start thinking about how meaningful time people are investing on platform. So these are the kind of problem these core data scientists team tackle. Similarly, if we talk about non-tech role, market. So here in non-tech, we have marketing or sales data scientist title. So this is what my initial title was. So here we do problems like, let's say we launch a new ad product, a new kind of ad. How has been the impact on revenue? Or let's say if we are reaching out to advertisers or content creators, video creators through digital marketing channel, how my funnel is performing. If I try alternate sales pitch, which is giving me more effectiveness. Similarly, Facebook has a lot of PR issues, trust and safety challenges. So they have a team called legal data scientists. So they look into complaints coming from government, police, these kind of bodies, and see and try to predict how much badness of the kind is on the platform. Let's say things which are allowed in India might not be allowed in Dubai. So how can we proactively predict the legal issues which let's say we are going to face in India or Dubai or Europe? This is what this team do. Similarly, there's a team called partnership data science. So these are the people who basically try to understand. Yeah. So for example, if we take example of India, should Facebook have telecom partner as Airtel or Vodafone? Or if I talk about US, whether they should have with AT&T or some other providers. So they generally help us to understand what kind of news media, what kind of mobile network, what kind of video content creator, what kind of sports community, what kind of movies we should be engaging with, buying their exclusive right and put into our platform. So moving on. Now here I'll give you some more examples of data science project which we do. So first is product growth, product development. So I'll share some of projects which I have done. when I joined Facebook, one of the project I was working on is making Facebook available on in local languages. So if you go to 2016, 2015, Facebook was not available in Indian languages, let's say Marathi, Bengali, or Hindi. Or some part of Facebook was available, some part was not. So now there I was working with a team called internationalization team, which basically work on language translation. And they were like, Ishan, we have 5 or 6 variant of, let's say, Hindi language. Which variant of the language is the most optimal if we have to translate? Like, sorry if few people don't speak Hindi, but I just want to give an example. If let's say you want to send a friend request, so it could be like, दोस्त को request भेजे, मित्र को request भेजे. So these are the kind of variants we have. So which variant works best? So doing a lot of experimentation. Similarly, when we are launching a new product, let's say I was working with Marketplace and we were launching in Thailand. They were like, okay, what kind of goods people are selling on Thailand Marketplace? Is there anything, something which can put us into a legal risk? So for example, marijuana is banned in Thailand. If people are selling marijuana, which is allowed in, let's say, US, but not in Thailand, this could be a legal risk. So how can we predict? Similarly, let's say we are adding new emoticons on our platform. What is going to be the impact of those emoticons? Or let's say we, if you guys use Instagram stories and Facebook stories, now you see if you put a story in Instagram, you can put it in Facebook. What is going to be the launch of this? So working a lot of understanding how product is performing, how my metric is going, what are the features which are used by people, what are the features which are not used by people. If we are making some changes, what is the impact of that? All those work falls under the remit of product data science. Similarly, let's say if you are working with a business team, let's say I am a sales data scientist for India, then I would give direction to sales team that, hey, what should be your target for this quarter? Or what kind of customers you should be reaching out, what kind of customer you should not be reaching out. Or let's say a program manager has come up with a new program to increase the sales in India. They would ask, hey, Ishan, we applied 4 new tactics. Can you tell me what has been the effectiveness of each tactic and which tactic is important, which is not? Then trust and safety. You guys must have seen there's so much hate content in the platform, violence, pornography, then people copying each other's photo, impersonating itself. So there, Facebook particularly invests a lot of data science effort in trust and safety. So one of the project which I worked, and there was a lot of hate speech in Myanmar, and I was asked to understand, oh, what is the percentage of hate post in Myanmar? Or when Cambridge Analytica happened, I was asked to do how much advertisement live on Facebook platform are coming with political agenda. Or somebody would be like, hey, we have launched new privacy filters where, let's say, you can lock your photos. What has been the effectiveness of locking this photo in, let's say, creating stopping impersonation? So a lot of those asks goes into this. Then next topic, talking about infrastructure growth. So infrastructure growth is more like how many new data centers should be open, how much video consumption do we expect in future, so and how much data capacity we need to increase according to that. Or let's say what is the headcount growth we are seeing, so how much laptop should we procure in our company to provide laptop to every employee or a contractor. So these are the kind of data science problems which are taken care by infrastructure growth team. Similarly, future investment. So I'm sure you guys must have worked on something called metaverse. So there's a team of data scientists which basically helps to understand. Sorry, please. So when metaverse was about to be started, there must be some data science team thinking about, should we launch metaverse? What is going to be the audience of this? Or if you guys have heard recently, Google come up with something called Google for Education. So during this pandemic, they must have seen that Coursera or companies like companies like, let's say in India, Unacademy, Upgrad, or any other foreign player, like I don't remember everyone's name. So seeing their growth, Google decided, oh, we should go for Google Education. Now, what is going to be the size of customers or total addressable market we can get for Google Education? These are the kind of future investment where data scientists give input. Similarly, ads ranking, ads option. So how should we rank ads so that even small, it should not be like the person who is paying the highest, only their ad is showing. How are we increasing the quality of ad? Uh, how could we, what kind of inventory we should put in what time of the day? So a lot of work goes into the ads ranking, ads option. Similarly, a lot of work goes into the impact management of programs. If we launch something related to safety, if we launch something related to user awareness, how to measure impact of all those launches. These are the typical kind of data science project. Now, I think a lot of people were interested to know how to get into a DS role in FAANG. So frankly speaking, it's not like a rocket science. It's like a very standard process across the organizations. And I have like interviewed with all major tech companies, have offer from almost everyone. I think this is my habit to interview once in 6 months to understand what is the effectiveness of my knowledge. And after going through like tech interviews of all major company, I come across 4 major themes. First is they try to check your coding knowledge. 90 to 95% people check for your SQL. Why SQL? Because all the data these days is getting logged into our databases, cloud, and all those. And for accessing those, you need to know a programming language. You need to know SQL. Now, at least internally, the SQL we use is very powerful. A lot of stats could be done into those. In smaller companies where you can't do a lot of stats into your SQL server, then they use a combination of SQL and Python. Python is mostly used for data science libraries, whereas SQL is mostly used for data manipulation and data extraction. Some companies also check R. Python or R is optional, and in most of the interviews, they will just check SQL. Then second is business case studies. So in each role, you can expect 2 to 3 kind of case studies. Now, what are the type of case studies? Let's say number of Uber rides is going down for last 7 days. How will you investigate? Or let's say Facebook has launched a new emoticon in WhatsApp. Like WhatsApp is a product of Facebook. So let's say Meta has launched now reactions in WhatsApp. How will you measure impact of this? Or let's say we are building something called Facebook dating. Should we launch the app or not? So doing A/B test experimentation there. Then third kind of product theme we have is stats or ML knowledge. So mostly understanding what is type 1 error, what is type 2 error, what is the distribution of data set, what are the assumptions of linear regression. We do not go into like asking you, okay, what is cross validation or build this data science model. We just check for logic and basic knowledge of ML, like linear regression, logistic regression, clustering, that is more than sufficient. In stats, we check probability, knowledge of distributions, type 1, type 2 error, how would you handle data imbalance, missing data imputation, these kind of things we want to check. And then fourth is behavioral interview. As a data scientist, you would be working with multiple cross-functional partners. You would be actually teaching people to how to make data-driven decisions or how to take data-driven decisions. So this will require a lot of communication and influencing. So behavioral interview become very popular. So the kind of question we can ask, tell me about a time when you received a difficult feedback. Tell me about a time when people did not agree to your idea. How did you convince them? Tell me about a time where you helped someone to grow. So basically, they want to understand your work approach. So a combination of these three things is checked in interview. Generally, your interview is of 2 parts. First is called screening, where we just want to check whether you are even a good candidate or not. So we take one SQL round and one a small case study. And if you clear, then you go to something called on-site, where we have like 2 case studies. One is stats, ML, and SQL round, and one behavioral interview. Now, few companies can take 1 or 2 more rounds, but this is like the standard process. So I have spoken a lot for last 30 minutes. So now I want to open a Q&A. And if anyone is having any question, I am more than happy to repeat. So can somebody help me to moderate the Q&A? I don't know, because people has mixed up everything.
Yeah, definitely. I will try to help you out. Just give me a minute, Ashan. Actually, there are a lot of questions which the people have pasted in the Q&A section.
Yep. As I hope I am audible. I had a dental surgery yesterday. I was still finding it difficult to speak. So if some part is not clear, happy to explain again.
So one of the questions which is asked by Naman is that with respect to preparing for interviews for data science, how much statistics is important, and what are the topics which we need to focus upon?
So first of all, for any data rule, stats is very important. And I'll go slow. If anyone wants to take notes, you can take notes. What are the topics we check in stats? So I'll pause for 15 seconds. You guys can open your notepad, then you can write down the topics.
So one of the question is asked by Prakhar. He says that
hey, I'm still completing the answer.
Okay. Sorry.
My bad. So the topics which people have to study for stats are measures of central tendency, which means mean, mode, median. Then dispersion, or how to understand the variance in data. So range, interquartile range, standard deviation, variance, knowledge about box plot. Then you guys need to know about sampling. What are the various sampling techniques? Difference between sample statistics and population parameter. Then you need to have basic knowledge of probability, which is basic counting and conditional probability, specifically Bayes theorem. Then we ask about inferential statistics. In inferential statistics, you have to learn about central limit theorem, confidence interval, p-value, standard error, type 1, type 2 error. And then you have to learn about hypothesis testing, which is type of test, z-test versus t-test, test for proportions. And then basic of ML, linear regression, logistical regression, and clustering. If you want to be over prepared, read about bias variance trade-off. That's it. Yeah, we can take the next question.
So one of the question is between Power BI and Google Analytics, which is more used in the market currently?
See, Google Analytics is good for website, but most of the companies are now coming with their own apps, which is not super supported by Google Analytics. So Power BI, I think any visualization tool will work, unless you are interviewing for a role called, let's say, Power BI developer or Spark developer or Tableau developer. I don't think we care much about it. These are the roles which are like more considered in TCS or Infosys of the world. If you go to a proper product company, nobody cares like whether you know Tableau or not. Most of the time they have in-house visualization tool, and that is used. So
one of the
somebody,
question, one of the question is asked is that how the CVs are evaluated by FAANG recruiters.
how CVs are evaluated?
Yeah.
Ah, see, there are a couple of things. Firstly, we do check for relevant work experience. What happened? One common mistake which I see as a data science manager, even when I have to hire a junior candidate, I look for a person who knows SQL, who is good at problem solving. What people do, hey, I have done ML algorithms in my undergrad, or I am a Kaggle grandmaster. Frankly speaking, we do not need machine learning engineers. Like out of all the data roles we have, 90 to 95% are normal data roles, 5 to 10% require machine learning roles. And if we have to hire like a proper ML person, we just look for PhD candidates. So knowing a library and how to implement a library, it's not going to add much value. It's an important knowledge to have. It will help you in doing the job, but that's not like a silver lining. So in terms of CVC, couple of things matter. Depending upon, for example, if you apply from India to Facebook, it becomes difficult because number of applications which come from the country and visa restrictions, it becomes difficult. Versus if you apply for a Google or Amazon, you have a higher chances because they are present in India. Second thing, we do look for your relevant work experience. So if you have started with like a proper analytics role, like in my time, New Sigma and ZS Associates used to be like good starting point. Now there are like a lot of product company, Ola is there, Misho is there. If you are coming from those kind of background where you have done some product analytics work, you know SQL really well, and you have some good project in your CV, it's going to help.
So one of the question is asked is that towards the end, I mean, if you can tell the difference between data analytics and data science, I mean, what are the difference primarily? And these two terms are used synonymously. So as a fresher, the person wants to know
Okay,
regarding this.
let's take a problem. So if I ask a question, how many people logged into Facebook yesterday? And if you pull out that number, that is a data science, that's a data analyst or business intelligence project. If somebody asks you, we saw 10% decline in Russia, 10% decline in Europe, can you investigate what's going wrong? That is sometimes data science problem, sometimes data analytics problem. They're like, hey, we have yesterday launched new product feature on Facebook. Now, let's say you can pay your friends on Facebook. Can you help us to understand what metrics should we track? What is the impact of this payment on our ecosystem? Now, this is a data science analytics problem. Okay. Now, if I ask you something like, currently we are showing 4 ads, and tomorrow if we want to show 5 ads, how should we change our algorithm? What are the kind of changes we should do? And what's going to be its impact? This is a data science analytics or data science ML kind of problem. Or if I take, let's say, example of Uber, hey, we are seeing a lot of mismatch between supply and demand. Like we have more drivers sometime and less riders and vice versa. How should I fix it? This is a data science ML problem. Now, if we decide, hey, now we have found that this new algorithm is working fine for matching the demand supply gap. Now I want to implement this across all the apps on Uber. This becomes a machine learning engineering problem. I hope this answers the question.
So Ishan, if you have the further presentation left, you can carry on. We can take the questions towards the end.
No, that's all I wanted to cover. I wanted to leave the main time for Q&A.
Sure. Okay. I'll search for the question and let you know. Just a minute.
Meanwhile, you guys, if you can post your question in Q&A, I can also try to take some.
Actually, there are many questions posted in Q&A. So I'm trying to just fetch the relevant ones.
Yeah, guys, if you can ask about like role, what's there in the role, how to get a role as a fresher, I don't think that will be of the maximum value here.
Okay, one of the many people, two people I found asked that they have a relevant experience. I mean, like 10 plus years of experience in a different domain. So for them, the transition to in this field will they be considered as a fresher in totally in this field, or that experience will count which
I
they have?
assume when they say different field, they might be an IT engineer, right?
Yes. See, so one of Prakhar Singh has said that
Or
he has an experience in Paytm domain in support.
yeah. So guys, you have to understand you have some experience in a completely different domain. So now the kind of skills which are transferable is your understanding of business, your how you work with cross-functional teams, how you set a roadmap, what's your work ethics. These are the things which is useful. But if you have never done an analysis, you have never done A/B testing, you are as good as a fresher. So for people who want to switch domain, I generally encourage them to switch inside. So let's say if somebody's in support for Paytm, I'll recommend go to like a Paytm business analyst or go to a Paytm data science team. So a lot of companies have this internal job posting options. So go there, change your role, and then apply outside. Because internally in your company, I think this is what a lot of companies do. They trust their employees. They want to grow them internally. So they allow this kind of movement. But externally, you are as good as a fresher. Yeah, you can ask more questions.
Yeah, I request our attendees to ask more relevant questions.
A lot of people are asking about how to practice for interview or DSS skills. So guys,
Yeah,
for SQL, I'll say use hacker rank, lead code, something like this. Uh, if you guys can enroll into any paid programs, like I know Unacademy have some, Upgrad has some, Skillovilla is a company, they have some paid programs. They have good content, but they are also going to teach you SQL, Python, stats. So it's up to you how you want to learn it. You can take like a paid program or you can take unpaid program, learn on your own. Doing a course with these companies might not help you much. So only way it can help if, let's say, I saw that Upgrad has some tie-up with a lot of companies and they can help you to get this shortlisted your profile, then it's going to help. Otherwise, it's always good for getting knowledge. But let's say you have done some certification from some company, it's not going to be like a big value add in CV. At least when we talk about big companies, if let's say Upgrad or an academy is tie-up with some industries, it is going to help you. So yeah, coming back to topic, I think for stats and machine learning, analytics Vidya have best blogs in the market. I still refer to their blogs. I still refer to their stats concepts. You guys can read from there. SQL practice from Lead Code, Hacker Rank, or anywhere you can find coding practice. Business case studies are something which is slightly difficult to prepare. So I'll recommend like reading some book on product analytics, or in YouTube channels, you will see uh, people have put a lot of videos. There is a site called Interview Query. They are US based, so I am a mentor there also. So we keep on publishing videos on how to prepare for business case studies. So you guys can check others' video, my video, and you can prepare from there also. And stats, ML, I think analytics with there has the best blog, so you guys can read through them. Guys, some people ask me about whether we should take course from this company or that company. See, I'm not representing any company. I'm just giving you an example of what I have seen in Indian market as people providing analytics course. It's completely up to you and their sales team. You guys talk, decide what course to take. I'm not here to say good or bad things about anyone.
Okay, Ishan, I think the relevant questions have been answered till now. You can continue with the presentation.
Hey, these are the only things I have to share in
Okay.
presentation. So I wanted to keep remaining time for Q&A only.
Okay, so it is done now, right?
Yeah.
So please wait, I'm trying to fetch some relevant questions for you.
Meanwhile, I'm taking some. So what are the top prioritized skills for data scientists? SQL is most important for any programming language kind of thing. Python is good to have. Stats knowledge is mandatory. Then preparing for business case studies and behavior. So these are the things we check. So hard skills, you guys should focus on stats and SQL.
One of the question Ishan, I wanted to ask is that early on in your career, we are not very much sure about the domain in which we want to go in, because data science as a field is now uh, coming in almost every domain, right? So initially, what are the things we should focus on? To get into a particular, it is in healthcare, it is in different IT companies.
Yeah. So see, it's completely fine. And one great thing about data science is, unlike software engineering, where you become, let's say, a Java developer or mainframe developer, data science or data analytics is a field where you can switch. So in terms of your hard skill set, it's stats, SQL, Python. That's not going to change. Rest everything is a domain area. Even I myself started with something. I was a mining engineer by degree, so I did some data analysis in mining. Then I switched to ZS Associates, which is a consulting firm. There I was mostly doing sales and pharma analytics. Then I joined Facebook. Earlier I was part of operations. Then I went to business teams, and eventually I realized that I did a rotation where I spent time with a product team, and I realized product analytics is something which I like the most. So I think in data analytics, even if you become like a 50 years old, you can switch between those. So that's completely fine.
Okay, so one of the question which asked by Surbhi is that what are the major difference between working for a consulting org and a product-based organization?
These two companies are fundamentally different. So consulting org works on a service model. You go to a client, get the business from them, and then whatever your client want, you deliver on that. In product company, you are more independent. Like I spent 6 years in Facebook, and after first 6 months, my manager never told me, Ishan, these are the projects you need to do. It would be like, this is the business area. Go talk to people, figure out what you have to work. And whatever you do, you have to show or demonstrate with the data that actually you have improved the business metrics. It is more flexible, work hours are chill, uh, people are super helpful, stress is less. In consulting, you operate within constraints. A lot of people are asking what is FAANG. FAANG is an acronym for few really high growth companies. It's Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. You can add few more companies in that criteria: Microsoft, Uber, Airbnb, Lyft, something like that. There's more questions. We still have 10 minutes. A lot of people are asking about is Python knowledge. So Python knowledge is only required for people who are going into algorithm role or machine learning role. In my day-to-day work, yes, I use Python daily, but in interviews, we don't check for Python. We check for SQL.
So if a person is into software development role for a many number of years and is preparing to transition into this field of data science, so in that case, should the project which he has done in when he was a software developer, so in that case, should he mention about those projects in his CV when he's transitioning into the field of data science? I mean, those projects will hold value.
See, it won't be relevant. I'll be very candid. So only project I'll care about is what we have done in the field of analytics.
So even if those projects are, I mean, you are working on your own, maybe we have picked up some Kaggle data sets.
I'll be very blatant. Nobody knows what you have done. If you can fake it, fake it. Thing is, like, if you have, let's say, developed a machine learning algorithm in Kaggle, and if you tell me that, oh, I worked on this project in my company, and if you can answer all my follow-up questions, then I'll believe you have actually worked on it. And if you can't answer it, then it doesn't matter. And guys, frankly speaking, even though I have worked with Facebook, even if I apply for a very small company, I have to give proper interviews. So interview is, they will test everything. If you want to write in your CV, let's say you have done some course with analytics with them, and you feel really great about your analytics skill, you can put in your resume that, hey, I have worked with company X and I was an analytics manager. And if you can justify your answers, that's fine.
And now currently in the market, there's a big thing as auto ML, right? So
Sorry?
currently there is a one big thing, auto ML. So I mean, is it something we should be scared of? I mean, they say, I mean, like Google is working on it. There's a company H2O which is, I mean, all working on this auto ML concept. So they are trying to automate this process, right, of building models and all everything. So will it in future, reduce the number of jobs which is created for the data scientists or data analyst positions?
So there are, so you know what, why people pay for a data scientist or data analyst? Your ability to interpret data, take business problem, transform into a data problem, take data solution and transform into business solution. So a data scientist or data analyst is paid for that. If you feel like you will learn some libraries and then train your model in Kaggle and you become a data scientist, then this is myth, my friend. So companies like Google or DataIQ or Databricks, they are doing auto ML, but they will only replace the job which is done by, like, let's say, generating some very basic model. It's like you feed data into your Python notebook, do some stats model library or SciPy library, and you got the output. For those kind of jobs, yes, auto ML is going to replace it. And frankly speaking, there are not very few jobs in market like that. But your ability to interpret data, your ability to build smart metrics, your ability to investigate a situation, that is going to keep you relevant. So from auto ML, I'm not much worried, because the kind of job that they are going to automate, I don't think there are hardly any jobs like that. 1 or 2% of jobs will be impacted.
And I think there is a question, what it needs to get transformed from data analyst to data scientist.
Advanced knowledge of stats, knowledge of experimentation, A/B testing, and business solving, business problem solving. But I can still take 2-3 more questions. Please bring it on.
One of the question is related to the certification courses. I mean, the HackerRank does provide the certification if you clear their exams, right? So, I mean, how much importance does these certifications hold?
See guys, I am personally a huge proponent of certification course, online courses, analytics boot camp, which people are running. I teach data science on weekends to a lot of people through these courses. I'm soon working on one of my course on business analytics. So I really like these certifications and courses. But are these mandatory for doing data science? No. See, these are the people who are, or let's say when I build my course, I'm going to charge you and give my knowledge and you can learn from it. Now, there are a lot of free resources through which you can learn. Like for SQL, stats, Python, everything is free also. Only thing these courses help you with is provide you a very structured curriculum. Then there would be some people who are coming on a daily basis talking about how to use these concepts. So it seemed like, do you need schooling or do you need college? You could have acquired those knowledge on your own, but a structured curriculum actually help you and diversify your thought process. So online boot camps, these tech courses for data science, super valuable, but not mandatory. A lot of people are asking about how to get practical knowledge about. So I think I'm messaging the resources I follow. I really like Analytics Vidya and Towards Data Science blog. I make sure I spend at least 30 minutes daily on reading these. Then YouTube tutorials for stats and probability. I'll recommend Khan Academy, and I'm talking only about free resources. For case study, you guys can see Emma Ding or interview query. Again, Emma Ding's video, she has given a very simplistic view. Real interview questions are much tougher. Interview query, they are a paid company, so they just put some questions for promotion. So you guys can refer to so I have put the list. What is the best source for SQL? There are numerous. I actually never did a very structured course on SQL because I learned it on my job. But if I have to recommend, there was an Indian channel called Venkat. I saw his window function concept. It was really good, but I saw it back in 2016. I'm not sure if there are better channels other. So Good Venkat was good. Then there's a site called mode.com. They have a lot of free resources you can practice.
Okay, so I think either most of the questions here are covered and either they are repetitive, and I think their solutions can be found out easily, and I would suggest the attendees if you can check out with our platform Analytics Vidya, you will find most of the resources there to kick a start of your journey and in this data science domain. So please go and check out our blogs for free certifications, and I guess you will definitely find it useful. And you can also go through previous recordings on YouTube link, and I'm again posting in the chat box, so you can go through this. And thank you so much, Ishan sir, for delivering such a wonderful session, which I think it will really be helpful for the beginners who wants to kickstart their journey in the data science domain, and also for the people who want to switch their career in this domain. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, awesome. Thank you everyone for your time. It was great interacting with you all, and all the best for your journey in the field of data science. And thank you Analytics Vidya for organizing this.